Sharp Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, off of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And P.S. and by the way, go check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Sharp Game. And check out my website, ChooseYourRelationships.com. You get all the gear, books, cups, hoodies, bags, accessories, everything is all there. Or you can just click the link below. So today I'm going to talk about the game. And a lot of people, when I say game, a lot of people don't like that word. I don't know why. I think, it's based on maybe what they've heard in the past, or maybe it's based on a stereotype, or maybe it's based on an assumption or something that somebody said to them, or whichever the case. But game is just strategy. That's all it is. Really it, in a nutshell. Game is much bigger than just relationships and dating. Game is strategy when it comes to just living your life, going about your life, getting things done. It's like a protocol, a way of doing things, a way of having things in your life, a way of navigating and living the best life you can without any of the BS. That's all game is. It's just strategy. It's nothing, it's nothing complicated. It's nothing manipulating. It doesn't have anything to do with that. So I think that's what a lot of the confusion comes from when people hear the word, or the phrase, I should say, the game. It's not about manipulating women or manipulating people or any of that stuff. It's really all about finding a win-win in almost every situation. And if you can't find a win-win, it's just good to just walk away, or find other people that's willing to cooperate. Or find people that's willing to see things the way you see it. But if you've been following me for a while, you know that it's not pretty out here. It's not, things aren't the way it is, the way they make it seem within the mainstream media. And especially if you look at the television. In some cases, things are worse than how they explain on television. And in some ways, things are better as well. But, if you've read my first book, The Chicken's Guide to Having Women Beg for You, Sex, Lust, and Lies, which is on Amazon, you know that I used to hang with athletes, football players, basketball players, when I went to college. And when I went to college, I realized that things weren't the way I thought it was. Coming from where I came from, living in South Carolina. I grew up in a very conservative family. And basically everyone, my brothers and sisters, everyone had the same path. They went to college, got a job, got married, had kids, got a house, car. You just keep working until you get a better job. And, if you're the man, you basically work 2 and 3 jobs, work like a dog, and to take care of the family. That was pretty much the path, in my family. For the most part, everybody didn't take that path, but for the most part, that was pretty much the path that my brothers and sisters took. And I'm the youngest, so there's like a 10, 15 year gap between us. And when I went to college, I realized that the way those guys operated, the athletes operated, and the way they went about doing their day was completely different from how I grew up and what I saw growing up. I realized that these guys didn't really have to do very much of anything to have women fall all over them. Basically, they didn't really have to have a car. They didn't have to have money, because in college, most people are starving anyway. Most people don't have no money, so they didn't have to have any of that stuff. They didn't have to have no car. They didn't have to have no money. They didn't have to take a girl out. All they had to do was just be them. Just be who they are, really. And girls just flocked to them like hotcakes. And when I saw that, I quickly learned that I'm going about this thing completely wrong, because, these guys, they're not better than me. And we're like the same age for the most part. They might be bigger than me, stronger than me, faster than me. But most of the guys, we're from the same background, basically. Some of them from the city, some of them from the country. They're just more athletic than me. That's pretty much it. They might talk better than me, or maybe look better than me, or maybe bigger than me. But it wasn't anything special about them. Really, it wasn't, So that's when I figured out that I have to step my game up. I have to find my way. I have to do things my way. And it took me a long time to really learn the game, because back then I didn't have no game. I didn't really have anything going on. When I went to college, I was 18 for the first time, so I didn't really have anything going on. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't even know what I wanted to major in until like the second semester. Really. So, it's like I realized that these guys, they were basically running through women. Like running trains on women, tag team. They had parties. It was like all kinds of stuff going on, And I was kind of like the nice guy. They was like, yo, you next, bro. You can go in there. You get you something if you want. And I was like, nah, I'll pass, man. I'm just go back to the room, I was like one of those guys back then when I was 18. I was so inexperienced back then. And it was just like a new world for me. It was kind of mind blown. It was a mind blown experience. It really was. And maybe you can relate to this, but I learned this when I was 18. I was like, hey, I thought one thing for like over my entire life about women and people just in general. And as I was growing up, even after college, I learned that when you out in the world, when I left home, I left my parents' house, people aren't going to really tell you anything. No one's going to really tell you stuff to look out for you. No one really like walking around like paying it forward. Every once in a while you might meet somebody, but the majority of people, they'll let you walk through the fire. They won't say anything until afterwards. They'll be like, oh, poor guy. And then after that, they'll just move on like you don't exist anymore. Most people are functioning like that today. The average person, it's not going to really tell you anything. It's like, we live in a society today, it's like, the less you know, the more risks you're being taken advantage of by anybody. Could be a stranger, it could be girlfriend, husband, wife, by anybody. People at the job, it doesn't matter. People aren't going to really tell you anything. Because you got a lot of people out here, especially if you live in a big city. They're like roaches out here. They just want to take. And the worst part about it is, there's no empathy. There's no remorse. There's no compassion. I mean, if I've never had a woman tell me after I've been taken advantage of by some woman, or maybe I got my feelings hurt. I've never had a woman tell me that, sorry to hear that happened to you. Stuff like that shouldn't happen to you. You're a good guy, whatever. I never really had a woman that had compassion and empathy, to say something like that to me. I mean, there's some of them that said sorry to hear that, but they wasn't really being genuine about it. It was just something that sounds good just to say it, or whatever. And that's the thing. There's a lot of double standards out here too. You got a lot of women. If something happens to a woman, let's say she got her feelings hurt. Let's say she gets dumped by a guy. He dropped her, right? And if she goes back and tells her girlfriend what happened, they'll have him like, oh, that's messed up what he did or whatever. He's awful, right? But if the same thing happens to a guy, there's no empathy there. There's a lack of empathy, there's a lack of compassion and everything. And that's just one double standard that lives in this country and in this society. It's like if you don't know something, almost no one is going to tell you. I don't care what it is. No one's going to tell you. And back then, when I was growing up, there was no internet. We didn't have access to internet. I mean, it was available in the military or in the government sector. But as far as to the public, no, didn't exist. So today, if you're in your 20s, you have a huge advantage because the information is out there. The books are out there. Back then, the books weren't out there. It wasn't not like it is today. Back then they had books that basically pander and cater to every woman's need. And the guys, we were just supposed to forget about our needs. Forget about the guy. Forget about you. Focus on them. Those are the books that came out back then. But that went against what I was living, though. That's the thing. There's like a disconnect. See, the books and the television is telling me that I should pander and cater to women and put them on a pedestal. But the reality is that I was living says that you don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is be you, focus on you, build up yourself, and women will come by default. Women will choose you by default. If it's your girlfriend, she'll choose you by default. Now, guys choose their wives, but women choose the guy that they want to date and be a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. But guys choose wives. That's just how that is. Now, in some cases, a guy might choose his girlfriend. Just depends on his status in society or in his town, or if he's a celebrity, or whichever case may be. But, it's just, today it's like a new game. But some things never change. If you don't know, no one's going to tell you. I know that for a fact. And then it's like, a lot of guys are always complaining about women. What women do. How women act. I don't care what women do and how they act. I mean, the only thing I care about is what I'm going to do next. What I'm doing. I focus on what I'm doing, what I'm going to do, and what the people around me going to do. I can care less what women are going to do. I mean, most women, for the most part, are just talking. Just venting, really. I mean, most women, they're not going to do very much. I mean, I mean, what are they gonna do to you? I mean, they just talking. It's just really. I mean, I just take it with a grain of salt, and I'd be like, okay, if she feels that way, okay, cool. Because I look at it like this: at the end of the day, at least in my circle, some women will, and some won't. That's really it. I mean, I use that with people, or everybody, just across the board. I mean, they say one woman's trash is the next woman's treasure. So if she ain't down, I guess there's always somebody else that is. We all have to make our own decisions and our own choices. And I don't force anybody to be around me. Never have. I don't ask anybody to be around me. Never have. Especially today. I really don't have time to worry about if who likes me or who's talking about me or any of that, really. And I don't think you should focus on that. You should focus on building yourself, becoming the best version of a man that you can be, and let the chips fall where it be, Because at the end of the day, when you're laid up in that hospital bed, hopefully you die in your sleep. But if you end up in a hospital bed, you're going to have 2 to 5 people there at best. Really. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the same people that's been around you for years. They always keep showing up. Same people over and over. Even you might try to get away from them, but it's the same people that's always going to show up. And the rest of the people are just cheerleaders. They'll show up at your funeral when you pass away, and there'll be a bunch of cheerleaders. And everyone's gonna have something to say. They're gonna be like, yeah, we used to be together. We done a lot of business together. We hung out together. We went to college together. We met girls together. The same old talk. A bunch of cheerleaders. That's what most people are. Just a bunch of cheerleaders. 2 to 5 people that's gonna be really down with you all your life, really. And the rest of them are just associates, cheerleaders, people that claim they love you so much, and that's just what it is. But if you don't know the game and don't understand the game, it's kind of like you're going to get caught off guard. You're going to be one of those guys on the internet that's apologizing in video. You don't want to be one of those guys. You are on Facebook quoting scripture, begging for forgiveness. You don't want to be one of those guys. You don't. I read something years ago, and it goes like this. The game is to be the game, not the player. The game is to be above the house rules of man to such an extent that you create your own law unto self. The new game is you, which dictates back to you that the new rule is you, and that for the player to experience new rules, the game must become the player. Uncommon results will require an uncommon strategy. I read that years ago, and I wrote it down, and I never forgot it. Because it makes so much sense. The game is bigger than just relationships. The game is about life. And you have to become the game. You have to become the player in the game. And it makes so much sense. And no one's going to tell you this. Everyone's going to keep you, they want to keep you going, keep spinning your wheels, keep going back and forth, being all confused, don't know what to do, don't know how to act, think you got to become brand new. You keep buying stuff to make you feel good. You keep you keep making excuses. You keep talking about what women are doing, but at the same time, you're not doing enough. So they got you in a hamster wheel. They got you in a trick bag. But you gotta always remember this. You're only as strong as the people you have around you. And that's just what it is. And this is why I started the Patreon site. Patreon.com/SharpGame. Go over there and subscribe. Over there, I talk about stuff that I can't talk about over here. You know? So subscribe over there. Subscribe to my channel over here if you haven't yet. Go get my books. Check out my website, chooseyourrelationships.com. Share this on your social media networks if you think people would like it. Until next time, I'm out. Peace!